Hi, welcome to my channel and thank you so much for clicking on this video. So I am a camera enthusiast. I'm not a camera pro. I suck when it comes to technology, but I've always enjoyed like photography, especially beautiful, like nostalgic film photography. I've been watching so many of these camera collection videos. I wanted to do my own, especially because I recently bought a digital camera in India and I know how tough it can be. Like from whatever I've heard online, it can be a bit of a struggle. So I wanted to share my experience of how I got my camera and share my camera collection as well in the process. I have a bunch of cool cameras to talk about, so let's get started. The first camera that I ever bought, and this is probably the first camera that kind of kickstarted my obsession with film photography, and of course it's an Instax camera. It's the Instax Mini 9. I got this back in 2018. To say that I was obsessed with the idea of a camera that could give me an instant photograph is an understatement. I was almost always on the verge of tears because I didn't have this camera in my collection, and that's how much I loved it. And when I finally got my hands on it, it was one of the best days of my life. I'm sure for a lot of photography enthusiasts, especially people who are very prolific when it comes to photography and they're just very talented in the field, I'm sure this camera doesn't serve any real purpose in their lives, but for me it was transformative, life-changing, and I know that sounds like an exaggeration, but it's not. Let me start with what this camera is. If you don't know, it's a camera where you can load a pack of film like here in the back. If you press this button right here, the lens pops out. If you look in the viewfinder and position your shot, you'll get an instant photograph. I've had this camera for almost a decade now. 3 years ago, it stopped working, something happened, and I reached out to the Instax customer service and they were able to fix it up. I think I spent 2,800 rupees on getting it fixed, but for me it was worth it. A lot of people argued that I could just get a new Instax, but I did not want to part ways with this one. And even though it was expensive, thankfully the repair was worth it. I haven't encountered any other issues with this camera so far. So with this camera, I know that they don't make the Instax Mini 9 anymore, but I think you can get the 11, 12, 13, and they're pretty much all the same thing. The only difference is that you can't choose your focus like on your own, and in this one you can. You have 5 different options. I find that to be very helpful actually. There is a light indicator to kind of tell you which option to choose. For example, if it's really sunny and you have great lighting, you can always choose the sun option. The camera will adjust its light, its focus, all of that. In my experience, I've always seen great results whenever I've used this camera in like very strong lighting, especially daylight. Like this camera just loves light and the sun. Like if it's a sunny day, if there are occasions like picnics or when I'm out and it's a very sunny day, that's when I love to use this camera because I find that it loves light. Like this camera format just loves daylight especially. And in low light conditions, I mean, of course it'll click you a picture, but my results have been a little flat. And considering how expensive the film is, I find that I want to stick to using it when I know that the sun's going to be out. If you can figure out that lighting, then this camera is just perfection. It's not a very high quality camera, of course, so for anyone who's into photography, they might not like this, but for anyone who's just looking for a camera that can capture moments, and for anyone who's just sick of cameras that are too technical, we have the option of using our phones. I mean, I end up taking hundreds of photographs. I don't like any of them, but with this one, you don't have that sort of control. The only thing you can do is point and shoot, and that's exactly what this camera is. So this was the first camera in my collection. I love it, and I would recommend this camera to anyone because you can buy it like readily, especially because the film is so easily available. You can get it like pretty much anywhere, even on food delivery apps like Blinkit, Zepto, and Swiggy. Like they have this film, so there's really no excuse, and film photography just hits different. I love it and I will continue to use it as long as it doesn't give up on me. The next camera in my collection, this is such a favorite. I know I say that about every camera, but this one really is. And this is a 32mm camera. This is the same thing as a 35mm. This one's from Canon. It's the Canon Prima BF9S. I don't know if that means anything to anyone because this was a family camera. I got it from my parents. They used this a lot in the early 2000s. This is the type of camera where you have to load a pack of film in the back I mean, I know these cameras are really popular these days. If you're in Bombay or in Delhi, they have a lot of dedicated like camera stores where you can get this even online. And they're pretty cheap. You don't have to spend a lot. The cost here is the film. Film can be very expensive, especially nowadays. I usually get my film for around 1400 to anywhere between 1400 to 1700 rupees, nothing more than that. And then you have to get it developed. I'll include examples and just photos I've clicked across the world with this camera. I always carry it with me. There's something so beautiful and nostalgic about the photographs I can click with this camera. I mean, it also depends on the type of film you're using. For example, Kodak film, I've noticed, tends to be slightly warmer. It has more of that warmth, that depth, whereas Fujifilm is more neutral. I personally have no preference. It really just depends on which film is accessible to me, so I can go with either of the two. If you don't have this type of camera, you can always get a disposable camera. It pretty much does the same thing. It's just that it's like a one-time thing. You have to use it once and then throw it. I find this to be more sustainable, and this one's a very simple camera. Like, I can only control the flash, like whether I want the flash on or off. With film cameras, I always prefer to keep my flash on. I find that if I don't use flash, the photos they don't look good. Even though it's a lot of work, I find that having that physical, tangible photograph like in my hands is so much more meaningful than something on my phone. So it is a pricey hobby. I don't use this camera like all the time. I reserve it specifically for travel or vacations, but this is the Canon Prima BF 9S. Love it. Moving on to the next camera, I got one of the latest cameras in my collection, and it's the Polaroid Flip. I've been using the Instax Mini 9 for almost a decade now, and for a long time I'd been wanting an upgrade simply because the film, like, it's so small with the Instax, it's almost like a credit card. And to be very honest, I always wanted to own something from the original like Polaroid company. Polaroid cameras, I mean, they are historic. Polaroid is the original company that kind of came out with this instant photography format. A lot of people just call any instant camera Polaroid, whereas Polaroid is a company. And that's how important Polaroid is as a brand. And I'd always wanted to own something from the original like creators of this photography format. But Polaroid, over the years, it kind of deteriorated in terms of quality. I'd always heard like really mixed reviews of the Polaroid like camera lineup. Last year, Polaroid came out with a camera called Polaroid Flip, and it took the internet by storm. Everybody on the internet was just in love with this camera, especially people who are very nitpicky about photography and cameras. Like, it's pretty expensive, but I knew there was time for me to upgrade from the Instax Mini 9. And here we go. It's called the Flip because how cute is that? So you can flip this lid, and that's why it's called the Flip. This is what the camera looks like, and it is absolutely stunning. I love the way they've designed this camera because it looks like one of those original Polaroid cameras from, I don't know, the 70s or 80s. Now, it's not a complicated camera at all, and that's one of the first things I look for in a camera. I can't stand technology that I can't work with. I'm sorry, that's just how technically inefficient I am. You look into the viewfinder and you click on the red button, and that's it. You have your shot, the film comes out. Now, this camera uses something called sonar. I mean, it has something to do with sound. So the camera emits like a sort of wave, like sound, to figure out how far the subject is, and that's how it decides which focus to use. It comes with this strap, but film is expensive. Like, you get 8 shots, and not only is it expensive, it's really inaccessible. However, I have been able to find like good film options on Amazon and other sellers online. I'll try to include a link in the description. This camera uses the I-type film, and whenever I want to get film from Amazon, I always check and double check because sometimes the sellers just increase the prices for this film. Whenever I get my film, I'm able to get it at around 1600 rupees. The maximum I've spent on Polaroid film is 2200 rupees in India. It loves light. Like, in low light, it can click photos, but when you have perfect lighting conditions like daylight, this camera will give you the most beautiful images possible. I'll include samples, everything in this video. Sometimes this will give me the dreamiest photographs ever. And if you are an instant film enthusiast, you love Polaroid shots, and you've been looking for an upgrade, this one is expensive, but it's worth it. There's such a poetic quality to the images. I know I'm getting very philosophical, but I really do love this camera a lot, and therefore I roam around with this all the time. I will say that if you're not into film photography all that much and you're just looking for something cheap and simple, the Instax Mini is the perfect way to go. But I will say that I've had so much fun having this camera in my collection. I'm very glad I have it. Alright, moving on to the last camera in my collection. This is the latest camera that I've added to my collection. I bought it like maybe 2 months ago, and it's of course the one you've been waiting for, the Sony Cyber-shot. Now this is a digital camera. If you know, you know, digital cameras have taken over the internet. I gave into the hype. I've never had a digital camera in my life, but those reels, that aesthetic, it got to me. I'm not very susceptible to falling for trends. There was something about one of these cameras that just had me hooked. I fell down this rabbit hole of digital cameras and how to acquire one, and it's a whole thing. Like, it's a whole thing. I have the Sony Cyber-shot DSCW570, and this is what it looks like. Let me take a picture. After having one of these, I get why they're so hyped up. The camera itself is so slim and light. Like, I don't know why I never had these back in the day. And it's such a convenient thing to use. With this camera, I had to get a memory card, like a 64 GB, something like that. And it's very easy to use. Now I'll tell you how I got this camera. Oof, with this one, it was a bit of a journey. So I had done my research and I knew that to be able to get one of these, especially in India, you need to know how to bargain. So I was in Bombay and I decided to go to Victoria Terminus. I got down from the train station and crossed the street where you'll see a line of stores selling cameras. And I walked into one of them, and it was very early in the morning. Now these cameras are popular. The moment I stepped in, I knew I was the first customer in the store. It just so happened that way. But the moment I stepped in, I think 5 minutes later, people started like coming in for digital cameras. Now I tested out a lot of cameras. I took my time. I spent around 30 minutes. I knew exactly what I was looking for, even though I've never owned a digital camera before. But I was looking for something that would give me a very crisp, clean image. Nothing blurry, nothing fuzzy, with the saturation being like perfect, nothing too warm or cool. And I tried out a bunch of like models from Canon, from Nikon. Somehow I kept going back for Sony. If you want to get one of these, you need to know how to bargain. These are best sellers. Like, everyone wants these cameras, and that's why the prices have gone up a lot. So when I walked in, I mean, I'm an introvert. I'm not good at bargaining at all. So I made sure to take someone with me, my sister, who's really good at bargaining. I have no idea if I've overspent on this, but I read somewhere that no one's ever spent more than 8,000 rupees on a digital camera. And that's exactly what I did. I set my bar and they were quoting me somewhere around 12 to 13,000 for this, and I was like, no way, I'm not spending more than 8. I got one of these bags with my camera, and they also gave me a charger with the battery, like a battery charger. So a few lessons. If you're also planning on getting a digital camera, I'd suggest testing them out thoroughly. One mistake that I made is that I didn't check for the video quality. Turns out it's not able to record video. My mistake. And I do feel pretty stupid about that, but learn from me, test out every single thing. Also, just make sure wherever you're getting this camera from that it's functional and that you can get battery charging, like charging wires, all that stuff, because you don't want to end up with a camera that just doesn't work. I mean, you can always keep it on your desk, but that's not really helpful. I really enjoy this camera and its functionalities. Like, it has a really lovely like zoom, and it's pretty simple. It's a point and shoot. I don't know if I overpaid, but I will say that having this camera has been worth it. Like, it's such a lovely thing to have, especially for events. Like, if there's a party, this camera is a must. Like, it's able to capture images in a way that takes me right back to the past, right back to a certain sense of longing for something that I've never felt before. I have an iPhone, but it's not able to capture objects and human beings the way my digital camera does. And this one's just different. It hits different, and the images are so stunning. Like, I'll include samples and the way I use the flash. Like, sometimes I don't need to use the flash, but it's so powerful. Like, even if it's pitch like black, this camera will not fail me. I ended up getting a charm as well. I got it from Westside and I attached it to this camera, and I love it. I really do love having it. Now, I will say that if you don't want to get this camera but you want the effect, and you can always use an app. It's called Dazcam. I have used it in the past and it's a brilliant substitute. It has a bunch of features for you to play around with, the settings. It's really cool, and it's the only thing that comes close to a digital camera. but I will say having this camera has become my personality. It's very annoying. Like wherever I go, I always have this thing and I'm posing but and pouting. That's how I got my digital camera. If you have any questions, let me know. I mean, you can get these in Delhi as well, in Chandni Chowk, I think, in Old Delhi. There are a lot of options, but just take someone with you who's able to kind of negotiate better pricing. They've become a little too popular these days. That was pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I mean, it's a little different from what I usually do. Here we are, but I would be very grateful if you'd consider subscribing to my channel and liking this video. I have a lot of other fun stuff on my channel as well. And as always, I will see you very soon in the next one.